Alright guys, today we're going to talk about Sunny D. Not much left. Sunny Delight. Sunny Delicious. Sunny Dangerous. Sunny Death. That was a stupid introduction. You know, it's almost unfair and annoying that we don't know much about what happens after you die or when you die. I mean, we know what happens. Basically nothing happens, but there's so many like different theories as to what actually does happen. And the phone is ringing, so hold on. And yeah, you know, it's weird how we don't know anything about something that we're so familiar with, you know, something that happens all the time, every day, and we can't even like really test it, you know, because first of all, you don't know what you're measuring. Second of all, you don't, like, even if you get results, you don't know how to interpret it, you know. So it's a big anomaly, I guess you could say. A popular theory, obviously, well, maybe not that obviously, but since we're in America and there's so many Jewish people, you know, and Catholic and Christian people, popular thought is that we go to heaven when we die. Like, basically you go to heaven and you're reborn again, and you get to see all your dead family members up in the sky, and basically a big party all the time. You can look down at Earth and watch people do bad shit and laugh at them. Unless you were that much of an asshole in real life, then you would go to hell, which is not fun. You know, a lot of people believe that if you do bad stuff while you're alive, when you die you're gonna go to hell. That's stupid. Heaven must be empty, if you think about it, because nobody does everything good in their life. You know, people make mistakes all the time, and to say that having sex before you're married or cursing all the time is such a sin and you're going to hell, that's really wrong. Like, you should just be able to live your life without constraints. So I feel like heaven is definitely made up. I mean, I don't know if heaven exists, but hell is definitely not existent, in my opinion. Anyway. I mean, it's really only created to teach kids not to do bad things, basically, when they grow up, to scare them, really, which is basically the whole premise behind like the Catholic or Christian religion. I don't want to offend you. I mean, my family is Christian, but that's just how I view it. If you listen to the song that's playing right now, it's called Below the Heavens Part 1 by a rapper named Blu. He says, hell is a fallacy created by man, which is very true. I mean, they just basically made hell up. And then he goes on to say how, you know, we're actually living in hell. Like, hell is our reality. And we must go through this hell in order to make it to heaven. You know, maybe like this idea of cleansing our souls with all this fucking evilness in the world, you know, so that when we die we can become better people and maybe possibly go to heaven if it exists. You know, he basically says that there's no way to be at peace with yourself or to be free when you're below the heavens, i.e. on earth, because life is just a constant struggle, and there's no way to get away from that unless you die, basically, or you're a fucking rich person who lives in the fucking Beverly Hills. But I don't know, that was kind of weird. Some people believe in reincarnation, you know, where your soul, after you die, your soul leaves your body and enters another organism, like another human or animal or plant. You're basically reborn, but you can't remember anything of your past life, I guess. That is kind of interesting to think about. Actually, the other day my science teacher was talking about how when you die, you're made up of energy. So when you die, your energy is released and it's basically absorbed into the environment around you. So I mean, it could be a possibility, you know, like maybe your soul is in that energy that gets released and you travel into another vessel. Maybe. Yeah, so I mean, when anything dies or decomposes, that's what happens. So it may be a more real possibility than you might think. You know, you might think it sounds ludicrous, which it does actually, it really does. But it may be a little more truthful than you think. You know, an atheist might say that this energy that gets released is just gets absorbed into the environment and you're just done. You know, you just stop thinking, you stop, you're not yourself anymore, like you're basically gone. And that's something really hard for me and a lot of other people to believe, you know, for yourself to just be gone and not be there anymore. That's something that's really freaky to think about, you know, to just not be anything, to be nothing, to not exist. That's really scary to think about. Alright, so here's my theory on what happens when you die, and I'll tell you right now. I think it starts with this molecule called DMT, or dimethyltryptamine, which it's created in your brain. I guess it's some kind of like hormone that's created in your brain both when you're dreaming and right before you die. It's a natural thing. It's in basically everything, and you can extract it from like plants and stuff. You can actually smoke it, and it's like a psychedelic drug. Like you get really tripped out, and it's crazy. If you watch like videos on YouTube of people who've done it and recount their experiences, they talk about seeing these really trippy geometric figures everywhere, and some people who've had like really deep trips talk about having like religious experiences, like seeing God and approaching the gates of heaven and stuff like that. If you look at people of different religions and different beliefs of how they would describe their experience, it's pretty different, you know. Like a Hindu person, a person who believes in that kind of culture, is not going to take this drug and start seeing Jesus and the gates of heaven, you know. It's going to be different for them. Like, they'll see whatever God they believe in. And you know, you might be wondering what this has to do with anything. So I'll tell you right now. Like I said before, when you die, this chemical is released in your brain. So what I think happens is, at the point of your death, you basically go into like a psychedelic trip. You start seeing geometric figures everywhere, and like you just get really tripped out and start seeing all this like religious stuff. Even if you're not religious, you'll see like things that reflect your beliefs, you know. I think that at the point of death, you just like cycle through all your beliefs in the form of this trip, really. And if you think about it, death is really what you make it then. If you believe in God, you're going to see God when you die. And I think after this grand exit, you're basically done, you know? Like you just leave without a thought. That's basically the grand finale of your life. And you're just gone. I know it's hard to believe, and for me, like, it's hard to believe to just be gone. But I think that's really what happens, and I mean, it's weird, dude. Like, it's really weird. Regardless, that's what I think happens. Alright, well, thanks for watching my video, and comment, subscribe maybe. So, yeah, I'll see you later.